How about that precision transportation?
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks for sneaking out of the 2015 Guilty by Association truck show and coming out here onto the highway to have a little conversation about the truck there. Who am I talking to there in the truck?
My name is John Jakes. I go by TA as my handle.
10-4 there, TA. So tell me about the truck.
Well, from front to back, I got a Valley Chrome bumper with trucks lights, TRUX lights all the way around, 496, 130 on the tractor, and 366 on the trailer with 3 lights inside. It's a Jones hood. It's a rafter hood with the vents punched in. It's a 99 Kenworth with a 2005 utility trailer, 210 Thermal King unit. The paint job is metallic purple, painted by Quality Collision up there in PA. The sleeper is an 86-inch studio with the couch. Got the Teltec gauges for the digital dash.
Well, you got yourself a bunch of goodies in there, huh?
Oh yeah.
Where are you from?
I'm from Nanticoke, Pennsylvania.
What do you find yourself doing with the truck the most?
Oh, a lot of mushrooms, cheese, and produce.
10-4, and where do you cover?
All 48 states from PA out to California, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, back to PA. Winter times I go from Arizona to Florida.
Why did you go with that setup that you have?
Jones's hoods I've had on my other truck. I like them. They're very durable, sturdy, heavy. As far as the sleeper, it's an OEM sleeper from Kenworth, the 86. Big enough for me and my dog Reno.
Now, how long have you been running this truck for?
I've been in this truck 2 years prior to my accident that I had. It celebrated 26 years of trucking on September 15th.
Well, congratulations, sir. That's a lot of years to be trucking.
Yes, I look back it is, but looking for another 26.
I'm happy for 26 years of your driving career, and I'm behind you for the next 26.
You got to make what you can of it. You got to always be positive, no matter what.
Now, when you started 26 years ago, were you running a refrigerated trailer?
I started with a dry van with a company. I was with them for 11 years. Then I went owner-operator. Then I went with another company. And just prospered from there. How I got into trucking was I had the Trans Am, watched Smoking the Bandit too much, and enjoyed driving. Love driving still. And just turned it into a passion.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to that. Or what tips would you have for a person that is starting out and they might be in a van, trailer, and they want to, change equipment and they want to go to a refrigerated trailer or something else like along those lines? What type of advice would you have for them?
Don't be lazy. Listen to your gut, and if your gut feeling tells you it's wrong, follow through. You gotta CYA, cover your butt. You gotta do that. Anytime you operate with any of this type of equipment, you gotta make sure it's right on the money, right on the nose. No second guessing.
10-4, we'll break that down. Some guys that haul refrigerated products may know exactly what you're talking about. I have an inkling that there's a lot of temperatures involved and some other things, but I don't want to guess about that. So explain what you mean about being right on the nose.
You gotta make sure how you load the trailer. You gotta make sure you temperature it. You gotta babysit that unit. Make sure the temperature's there. I always wake up every 4 hours to check the unit, check the temperature. The temperature is everything.
Well, some people may say, oh, well, the reefer's running, so that must mean that everything's cold inside, everything's good. What are some issues that you can run up against if your unit isn't working properly?
If you have a cantaloupe load on, you got it screaming. You shouldn't let it screen. Just bring it down 5 degrees at a time. Otherwise, it'll ice up on you. You have to defrost, and it'll never get the temperature. You got to play with the temperature when it's outside. You've got to be careful and maintain the temperature is supposed to be. When you got the cantaloupes, you bring it down 5 degrees at a time until it gets down to temperature.
Yeah, I know that I wouldn't make a good refrigerated product hauler. I'll probably end up screwing up something because, like you said, that sounds like a lot of babysitting, a lot of due diligence and paying attention to what's going on with those temperatures. I don't know if I would have the patience for that.
You are babysitting. That's all you're doing with a refrigerated unit. You're babysitting.
So let's say, for instance, you got a load of, you use cantaloupe as an example. So what happens if you dip down 10 degrees below your target temperature? You know, what happens then?
Well, you won't freeze cantaloupes because usually you want them about 40, 50 degrees. But if you got lettuce on and they want it at 34 and you go 2 degrees below that, which is 32, you'll be freezing it. It's called icing it. It'll start to crystallize.
Explains what happens if it ices and what the next steps are.
Now you have what's known as Orion. That's the recorder inside your trailer taking the temperature of your unit, and if that goes below certain temperatures, like I said, if you got the unit set on 35 and it goes down to 32 or 31 and starts to crystallize it, that's when the product goes bad, and you are responsible for it because it's your job to make sure it maintains 35, 36 degrees, not 32, 31 degrees.
So you say there's a recorder in there that monitors or logs the temperatures? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, whether you have a produce load, fresh load, frozen load, usually there are recorders in there for the purpose of the receiver and the general public.
What does a guy do at that point if the load is bad and the receiver doesn't want it?
You find the nearest farm and you take it there.
Now, does that driver or operator get to make any money off that load if he brings it to a farm and he finds a farmer to buy it, or is he just basically begging the farmer to take it off of his hands?
Correct. You're begging him to take it off so you go and get your next load.
Well, that sounds like a total loss, obviously. Somebody's not going to be happy about that. So what are the recourses, and what are the monetary recourses also?
If you were working for me, I'd fire you for some negligence like that because you weren't monitoring the temperature. It's all about the temperature.
What are we talking dollar-wise on a load that has gone bad?
$70,000, $80,000 claim.
That is not lunch money, sir.
No, that's my pocket change.
Well, you mentioned a bit ago that you wake up every 4 hours to monitor things. Is that just because that's just how you've done it in the past and you just feel good doing it that way, or is there any technology out there that'll allow you to know what's going on without having to physically wake up and check on things?
The only thing you can hear is the unit shut off. Something breaks inside, like a belt or a hose or something. Other than that, you just get up and check it, monitor it. I'll explain later. I've got a what's known as a T-ticker on the side of my trailer, tell me the temperature of the trailer, other than just the T that most companies have.
So what's the T?
The T means it's green, it's operating where it's supposed to be. If it's yellow, it's going to shut off in 24 hours. If it's blinking, it's shut off. The unit is shut off. You have to stop and take it to a shop.
Okay, so it's almost like a way of measuring the health of the unit?
Correct. The unit's smarter than you are.
Now, you were sharing something with me earlier before we left the show, and you said that you were cooling down your truck, but the engine of your truck wasn't running, the reefer was running. So what do you got working back there?
It's called Gizmo. I piped into the reefer my buddy and I had, and the two lines coming out is the high side and low side of the Freon going into a condenser, going into a fan with the temperature and the fan setting inside the truck. Doesn't matter what the temperature of the trailer is, I control the fan and the temperature setting.
So that's awesome. I mean, I've never seen that before. I've never heard of guys doing that before. maybe other guys watching this, maybe they've seen it done, but for me, that's new. I think that's a great way to resource your reefer unit.
Yes, Jerry and Mike are the original owners of it, and I'm the first one to try it out, test it out, and it's working, but nobody else wants to do it.
That might change a little bit. Guys like to try and save a little money when it comes to idling. Now, that brings up another question. In some areas, some states, you can't idle your truck, but you can idle your reefer, correct?
Correct, it's mandatory, especially if you have a perishable load or frozen load. Even if I had a dry load, I could crank the unit up and have the air conditioning.
Well, that's certainly outsmarting that no idling law, and I'd say that's certainly an upside of pulling refrigerated loads.
Yes, it is. I wish somebody from Thermo King would contact me, because I went up to Thermo King. They told me to leave because it'll never work, because their engineers would have thought of this. But 2 truck drivers and a mechanic thought of it.
I think you guys may get your hands full pretty soon there with other guys wanting to know how you did that thing there, so I hope it works out for the best.
이제부터 우리가 선수들 인터뷰를 우리가 해야 돼요. 인터뷰. 강재호 선수랑 인터뷰를 제가 짧게 해볼 거예요.
I hope so too, because I've talked to many drivers and they think it's an awesome idea, but they never went through with it. Me and my other truck, we love it.
So I don't think I asked you how you got into driving.
Started driving after I did my time in the Air Force, got my honorable discharge from the Air Force, and started driving. Enjoyed driving, and enjoy being adventurous, roaming around, meeting new people, having fun, and as Brent Reynolds used to say, just like to show off.
I think you're doing pretty good with the whole show off part there. What are some of the favorite things that people like about your truck when they come up to it and talk to you about it there at the truck show?
They like the hood, they like the headlights, they love the dash, because no one's ever seen a dash like this. They can't believe that it's a 1999 with 2.4 million miles on it. They're really drawn to the lights that I have on the truck and trailer.
Later tonight there for the convoy, we'll hopefully get to see you lit up there.
Yes, sir. And they like the name of the truck. Only class stands for One Night Loving You, chrome lights and stainless steel. I came up with the color of purple from the previous owner's son, who passed away. Because if he would have never passed away, I would never had my dream with the family asking me to become an owner-operator. And that's how I got to become an owner-operator. Didn't even know what an alternator was, really. Wasn't very mechanical inclined, but when it's yours, you learn the hard way or you go home. So I learned the hard way.
How many years have you been an owner-operator for?
Let's see, 11 years.
All right, 10-4. So I get questions from guys that watch these videos. They want to know how to become an owner-operator. And once you become an owner-operator, how do you go about finding your loads? So what can you share regarding that?
Becoming an owner-operator to be successful, you have to crawl, walk, stand, run. That's the procedure. You buy a truck, you find someone reputable, credible to lease on with. You put money on the side. You put money down on a trailer. Now you got a trailer. Now you start looking for your own customers. Once you get your own customers, you get established. You're doing good. You progress on from there, because your customers will make you grow.
Some guys are going to be like, well, yeah, but how do I find customers? Where do I go? Do I pick up the phone book? Do I look on the internet? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's people that you deal with, or you have friends. I've been very fortunate with friends that have gone from one customer and progressed it to become larger, and they want little carriers like myself, and you progress from there. It depends on where you are and how you present yourself. It's all on numbers and attitude.
Numbers and attitude. Explain that for me if you don't mind there.
You got to make sure you have the correct rates. They're not too low, not too high, because if they're too high, they won't hire you. If they're too low, you're not going to make no money. You got to have a positive attitude. You've got to get in there and say, this is how I want it. I would like to have it done. When you're a small guy, the only thing you have is service and dedication. That's two things that go hand in hand. You don't have 100 trailers that you can spot. You don't have 100 drivers that you could turn on to load 1, 2, 3. You've got to make sure you give them service and dependability.
That's great. Great advice. So I thank you for sharing that.
You got to have honesty and trust, along with dependability and service. When they go to bed at night, they're going to know that their freight's going to get to their customer on time, in one piece, and the way it was loaded, standing up and temperature correctly.
I got to give it to you because, you know, half of the food that we consume, or a good amount of the food that we consume, is refrigerated products. And we can take it for granted pretty quickly about how that product gets from its origin to its final destination there in the store.
Correct. Everybody thinks it's going down the road. They just think it's in the store and it was grown in the store. They don't think about America. Truckers drive America, and we are the heartbeat of America. We don't truck it there, they don't get it. Just the one thing that I like to say is, just wish people see this video. Just give drivers a little bit more respect, room, and not all drivers require, because there are bad drivers. We make bad decisions. We're not perfect.
That's correct, and thanks for bringing that up, because that's one of the next questions that I was going to ask you, is what would you say to them?
We need more room. We cannot stop on a dime. Respect the size of the vehicle, and it comes down to respect. You got to have respect for the vehicle.
I'm sure we all have seen people that want to kind of get back at you by getting back in front of you and tapping the brakes and feeling like they can take a little bit out on you. That would be the lack of respect. Is that what you're talking about there?
If you work in a team, you've got to try Monday.com. Go to Monday.com and manage all your team's work on a powerful platform that's easy to use. So easy. Whether it's projects or workflow.
Well, somebody trying to cut me off. They're thinking too quick. They're in a hurry. That's called stupidity. Someone trying to get back at me because I accidentally cut them off and then slamming the brakes, that's suicidal. Because we cannot stop as quickly as they can.
There's been some videos that float around on the internet that show people trying to do that, you know, get back at you. And it didn't really work out well for them. You know, they ended up getting the bad end of the stick there, and whereas you know, the driver has a job to do and has to try to maintain that vehicle, you know, without causing harm to anybody else.
Well, my mother asked me one time, would you run me over? I go, well, Mom, you do something stupid, I'd have to do something stupid. There's always a constant, wherever there's an action, there's always a reaction.
Unfortunately, some guys have had those moments where they had to make a decision. Some of those guys, you know, they lost their life. Some of those guys, they, you know, come out pretty badly, but they're trying to do the right thing and trying to manage a vehicle that just doesn't dance around. It's not a ballerina. It's not anything like that where you can be nimble. I guess basically it's not a nimble vehicle to be able to move where it needs to be. And it's caused some fatalities and deaths to the drivers there.
I'll bet you if you were able to bring those drivers back, or people, they would change their mind on the action that they took. 2 years ago, in July 21st of 2013, 10 after 1 in the afternoon, I had my first major accident. I had a Chevy Silverado pickup truck on a 2-lane road come directly at me. People go, why did you maintain your lane? There's only one thing you got to do, maintain your lane. Can't go to the left, be on his side of the road, be 50-50 on an accident, and I'm not going in the ditch without paint. Just maintain your lane, hold on the steering wheel, and ride it out.
Well, thanks for sharing that, because, you know, earlier in the conversation you did say that there was an accident. Sometimes, you know, some guys are not happy about the situations like that. Some guys use it as a learning tool, and, you know, obviously, like you said, you know, you got some choices to make, and you chose to, you know, maintain your lane. you probably, again, somebody might say, well, what about the shoulder? What about the ditch? You don't know. We don't know what that was like there. So thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome. You have 3 seconds to act to an accident. You see it, you think about it, and it happens that quick. That's what I learned from that accident. There's been many, numerous accidents I could have been involved in, but due to my knowledge, I avoided them.
So I'm going to ask you this because now I'm curious, but curious in a good way. Curious for the viewers. Let's run through some scenarios. That was a 2-lane road. You had nowhere to go. And if you were loaded, you had to also think about the momentum that was going to carry you along. You explain some things and some different scenarios that you just said that you were able to get yourself out of.
Well, one instance I pulled out of a jackknife because the car, we were on a 3-lane highway over there on Interstate 78 in Jersey. I was in the middle lane. He came from the number 1 lane right off to the ramp. He just about made the ramp. So I hit the brakes, avoiding him. I went into a jack a little bit. I accelerated, brought myself out of the jack, and avoided the accident. It comes down to respecting the size of a vehicle. I mean, if you're 5 foot and 21 and you see this 6'8" person, you're not going to go up and call him stupid. We can't do the same thing. You have to respect the size of something.
There's been some guys, and I don't want to bring up the unfortunate, but there's been guys that I guess their reaction is to go off the side of the road or hit the shoulder. Maybe that's just a reactional thing, and I'm sure people listen to this, they're gonna have their thoughts on this, and maybe some guys have had to experience that. What's your thoughts on that?
For every action, there's always a reaction. Every action is always different. Some guys might be critiquing me on this. Some guys might say I'm right. They might shake my hand. They see me. But then there might be other drivers that say, well, if it's it depends on the scenario. Depends on if you're loaded. Depends on the weather. Depends on the driver. It depends on everything. There's no answer to any correct situation, to my knowledge, because I'm not knowledgeable on that. I just have knowledge of what I do know of. Depends on the situation. That's what it basically depends on, the situation, to give the correct answer.
10-4. Thanks for that. And that's basically that I would have to say no one can know. So, well, John, again, I got to thank you for again taking your truck out of the show and coming out here on the highway, and you shared some things that we typically don't hear in these interviews, so I appreciate that. I'm sure a lot of other people can appreciate that also.
Everyone's just got to pay attention, be careful, respect, and get along. We're Americans. We all got to get along. We don't help each other, nobody else will.
Well, John, thanks again for that time on the highway. I appreciate it, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show there.
You too. Do you do the same? I appreciate it, and I thank you. And just hope I could help somebody out.
애플 웹사이트를 보면 이렇게 스크롤에 반응하는
10-4.